making this batch of poison for our kids, and they're making cereal that doesn't have all of the same poison for everyone else's kids.
They want you to be disoriented from the food, anxiety, depression, and then guess what? They can prescribe you a pill.
I wonder if we have a history of this ever happening before. Government three-letter agencies telling us that it would have no side effects and that we should take it. And I just thought, man, that's interesting.
The majority of the board decides what is going to be allowed in our school lunches. Almost all of them are taking money from Novo Nordisk, who is the creator of Ozempic.
I was supposed to come here and talk about health and wellness, but instead I have to talk about how the left murdered my boss and my friend, Charlie Kirk. Tonight, apparently, I have to talk about war. What happened 9 days ago wasn't just a tragedy, it was a declaration. A declaration that telling the truth in America now comes with a death sentence. Charlie Kirk knew that, and he chose to build anyway. Yes, he was a brilliant organizer. Yes, he was a cultural wrecking ball when we needed one. But above all, Charlie Kirk knew how to show up for people, not just in public, but also in private, where it really counts. I worked for him for the past 6 years. I started Turning Point USA's first ever show. And I knew that if I said something risky, something bold, even something that he personally wasn't super sure about, Charlie would send me a message, and he wouldn't try to warn me or manage the optics. He would just text me 5 words. I support you, say it. When an article came out about me, good, bad, ugly, he didn't flinch, he didn't stress, he'd just send a 2-word reply, great work. Not because he agreed with every detail or things I would do or say, but because he believed in me. He didn't micromanage, he didn't hover, he empowered, he made you feel like your voice really mattered. Because to him, it did. He had every excuse, by the way, to be unreachable. Powerful men often are. But Charlie wasn't unreachable to TPUSA staff or anyone else who was lucky enough to have known him. He reached back. Power never changed Charlie because he didn't worship it. He served it. Charlie didn't just talk family values, he lived them. And despite what the left loves to screech, he is one of the strongest advocates for women in the conservative movement. I mean, just look at his wife. Erica Kirk doesn't need to shout to command a room. Her strength speaks volumes. That kind of woman doesn't come from weakness. That's what happens when a man loves boldly, protects fiercely, and leads without flinching. Leaders like Charlie don't create doormats in women, they build warriors. Erica Kirk is not a handmaid, she's a force. When I told Charlie how important the Make America Healthy Again movement was for undecided women voters and how many of them liked RFK Jr., he took me seriously. He didn't just nod, he acted. He called him right up and he told Bobby he needed to seriously consider Trump's offer. When RFK endorsed Donald Trump later that year, Charlie made sure that I was in the front row at that Arizona rally because he knew what that moment meant for me. He thought of others, always. And let me say something that many don't know. Right before Charlie died, Charlie gave the women at TPUSA 6 months of paid maternity leave. I don't know any progressive organizations that do that. In fact, when the Wall Street Journal interviewed me the other day and I told them that, I said, I don't know any left-wing organizations that do that. And she said, yeah, you're right. I would like that at my job. I said, well, you better tell them that they need to be getting on the Turning Point USA train. Yet they still try to call this man a sexist. They still try to call him a bigot, a villain. If you truly think that about Charlie Kirk, then you don't know Charlie. You know a caricature of Charlie Kirk created by the left. Let me be clear. Charlie Kirk was not a racist. He wasn't a sexist. He loved people enough to tell them hard truths instead of easy lies. May all of us be just as bold. Charlie Kirk was also a shepherd. He didn't just want what was best for his friends, he wanted the best for his enemies. He didn't hate the people who hated him. He believed in fighting for that one lost sheep, even when the crowd told him it wasn't worth it. He'd ask the audience to quiet down so a leftist protester could share their point of view. He'd offer food or water to a debater who was faint. That was Charlie. In his last few months, he was starting to feel like the MAGA movement was splintering in ways that could really explode as Trump's term winded down. He saw it coming, and that is why Charlie pushed for more open dialogue between the different camps, not less. And to be transparent, I am talking about Israel. Some people took that the wrong way and assumed that he was shifting his values. But I don't believe that that was ever the case. He knew how important it was to keep talking and keep debating, and that the second that we stopped talking, the movement would start turning on itself. Charlie was not trying to pick a side, he was trying to hold the center. That takes guts, it takes vision, and he had both. He was a viral powerhouse, sure, but he was also just a regular guy. He was weirdly particular about hot sauce. So much so that, like, in the throes of the pandemic, he created his own, like, it was like being sold in stores or something, in like select grocery stores, I think in Florida. It was so random. And I cannot confirm if that hot sauce was Maha approved. So if you come across a bottle, that was before Maha and me, so, you know, I didn't have any influence on that. But he loved nature. He loved the state of Maine. He played the saxophone in high school. His first car was a 2003 Ford Explorer with windows that didn't roll down. On election night last year, he could have been at Mar-a-Lago, next to Trump himself. But instead, Charlie chose to be at TPUSA headquarters in Phoenix with us, because that's who he was. He had access to the halls of power, but he never stopped being a man of the people. And that is why the response to this tragedy has been overwhelming, because America knows the truth. They know that when you shoot a man in the throat, you aren't proving him a liar, you are just proving that you have fear about what he might say. And Charlie had a lot more to say, but God knew that he had said just enough, and that now it was our turn. This murder wasn't just about silencing one man, this was about silencing all of us. But this has united the country in ways that I have not seen since 9/11. Since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, Turning Point USA has received over 62,000 inquiries from young people asking to start a TPUSA chapter. The Charlie Kirk Show is #1 on the charts. He would have flipped out. We've received over 200,000 new donors, and our America Fest tickets are going so crazy that we're thinking we're gonna have to get a bigger venue. And we're already in the convention center in downtown Phoenix, which is like, I don't know, 30,000 people? Turning Point USA is the fastest growing political organization in the world, and it happens to be conservative, and we have the left to thank for that. I told you that I originally came to talk about health. The Make America Healthy Again movement is one of the most powerful political coalitions to ever be created, and Charlie fully supported it and my activism with it. Charlie ate well, he exercised, he never drank, he never used drugs, he refused to go out with us. If like we'd be like, Charlie, we're going out tonight, whatever. Like in the early days, he'd be like, oh no. Like he did not, he was very good. And he was always looking for new ways to biohack. I kept telling him about red light therapy. He knew that there wasn't just a political and spiritual crisis in America. He knew that there was a health crisis too. He supported the MAHA movement because he saw it clearly. We are overfed, over-medicated, and undernourished, and our healthcare system isn't healing us, it's killing us. Millions of Americans are on antidepressants, but mental health, it's still declining. Pharma profits soaring, life expectancy flat or dropping. Why are we putting millions of kids on drugs with known side effects like aggression, depression, suicidal thoughts, and then acting shocked when one of them explodes? People say that mass shootings are about guns, but we have had, or we had more guns 50 years ago, and here's the thing. The assassin was raised around guns, had been around them his entire life, no issues, until he became a leftist. Some interesting stats that I think are very important with this conversation that you never ever hear talked about. 70 to 80% of serotonin is made in your gut. 70% of the standard American diet is made up of ultra-processed food. That's basically all we're eating, okay? This fake dead food destroys your microbiome. It kills your mood, and it breaks your brain. We drug our kids and we call it compassion. We feed them garbage and call it food. We mutilate their bodies and call it care. And when they snap, we blame the guns. You've probably never heard this, but multiple studies show that nutrient deficiencies, especially in B vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s, are linked to aggression, violence, and antisocial behavior. One study done on prisoners showed that inmates given B vitamins committed 35% fewer offenses and had 40% fewer violent incidences. A study of school children given B vitamins showed a 47% drop of behavioral issues. So let me just say it plainly. America is starving, not just for food, but for meaning. We are malnourished in mind, body, and soul, and it is killing us. Charlie knew it, he saw it. He encouraged me with my podcast, Culture Apothecary, to draw attention to it and for women to raise the healthiest generation of kids, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Charlie was murdered because he wasn't afraid to say this, that we have raised a generation based on lies. We told kids that biology doesn't matter, that truth is optional, that your feelings are God, but that illusion eventually collides with reality, and when it does, the crash is devastating. So where do we go from here? We fix it by telling the truth, loudly, relentlessly, and without apology. We rebuild the family, we clean up what goes on our plates and what goes into our minds. We raise kids who are not just alive, but rooted, resilient, and awake. If any of you in this room ever attended a Turning Point USA event, you worked alongside Charlie at one point, or you just knew him at all, you witnessed a miracle. You caught a shooting star. You were part of history. Charlie left behind a spotless legacy, and his final parting gift is handing us the mic, offering us one last chance to say, "Here I am, Lord, I choose you over me." Charlie was our modern day founding father. And Erica, our new CEO, she's Eliza Hamilton. After Alexander Hamilton's death, his wife Eliza spent decades collecting his writings, defending his reputation, and making sure his contributions to America were not forgotten. She was deeply faithful and resistant and resilient and led with strength and vision. Just as Eliza supported Alexander Hamilton through political firestorms, Erica Kirk supported Charlie Kirk through intense cultural battles. Erica has been a voice for biblical truth, healthy families, and cultural clarity. Her decision to step forward in boldness now mirrors Eliza Hamilton's courage in using her widowhood not as a reason to retreat, but as a reason to rise. Erica Kirk will take up her husband's battle in full and carry it all the way to final victory. This Sunday, I'll be in Phoenix for Charlie's memorial. We didn't rent out a ballroom, a theater. We rented out a football stadium. And based on what I've seen, we're gonna need more seats. Charlie Kirk is the first martyr of the internet age, but he will not be the last. The next generation just found its hill to die on, and they're calling it Charlie Kirk. Thank you.